Katie here at Vibe. Today I'm going to walk you through some tips and best practices for using Vibe on video. Now, the most common question I get is how to do the bright lighting when you're shooting on video. If you have direct lighting on Vibe, it is going to have some glare effect. So what I found is indirect lighting is the best. If you're in a room with a lot of natural light, I usually like to close the curtains to reduce that, but still have a little bit of light coming in. Or I might move the Vibe board. So if you have it on a stand, you can move it to another part of the room where you won't have so much direct light and that glare effect. Another option would be to use softbox lighting, so it has a nice soft effect instead of something pointed right at the board. Another option that you could do is play around with the brightness settings. So depending on what device you're using to record, you might be able to adjust it lower or higher. That might make an effect. In order to do this, I'm going to close out of the presentation mode, which is a nice option when you're filming video, and show you where to find this. So down here at the bottom, this is where you can adjust the brightness settings on your Vibe. This is where you can go back to presentation mode right here. Another option is to use a dark background. So we do have backgrounds available in a dark black or a dark gray charcoal effect. And that can show up really nicely on film. So play around with some of those dark background options, especially if you're whiteboarding, and it looks pretty cool as well. So I get a lot of questions on which type of cameras we use for our videos. So when I first started with the Feature Friday series, I was just using my iPhone. That's what we're using to film this video today. And I have a simple tripod stand to hold it in place, have it at the right angle. We also invested in a Rode mic for a little bit better sound quality, so you can have a nice mic to use with pretty much any device, but this one I like to use with the iPhone in particular. For some of my videos, I'll use the Polycom Studio camera. That has really nice noise canceling mic built into the device. So I really like recording with the Polycom Studio, which also has a remote that helps me kind of focus in exactly where I want to be filming. For the videos that we have on our website, we used a Sony camera for that. That's a little bit fancier than what I typically use. And what we found there, some tips for using a fancier HD type camera is instead of using the auto settings, which are just going to kind of focus automatically, it's a little bit easier if you use manual settings to focus in on do you want the person or the board when you're shooting. We also recommend trying out using a smaller aperture setting as you're filming. For screen capture options, so if you're doing a lesson and you want what's on the Vibe board up close instead of just you talking in front of the Vibe board, there's a few options to do that. So the easiest one is if you're already using an app like Zoom, connect to the Zoom application and use Zoom to do the kind of screen capture recording. The downside is that that's going to have lower quality resolution. You could use an app like X-Recorder. X-Recorder is one of the apps available in the Vibe store, and we use that app for some of our tutorial videos, walking through Zoom. What I like to use in some of my videos is I have an HDMI capture card. So you're going to take an HDMI cable, hook it up to the HDMI out on the back of the board, and put it into the capture card. Then you can record it directly to your computer, anything that's going on the screen. I like this option because I can also record at the same time from a camera like the Polycom and have both things going at once. So it's really easy setup for me who's not much of a video person. So for people that are using really fancy cameras and setup, Vibe, even when you're turning up the highest brightness setting on Vibe, it has a 60 Hertz refresh rate. So you might get some of those banding options when you're filming. So a few ways to reduce that banding effect is you can add stops to the camera lens. You might want to consider adding an ND filter. You can adjust the camera frame rate. We recommend either 24 FPS video and 150 shutter speed or 30 and 160. So these are some tips that might reduce the banding effect, or again, use the dark background option. Thanks so much for watching, and reach out if you have any other questions.